So we shall get started. Welcome to our Tuesday morning Mind the Moments session, brought to you by Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare and Tufts Health Plan. This is a place where we invite experienced mindfulness instructors to speak with us about what mindfulness means to them and to discuss as a community how we can incorporate these practices into our daily lives. I'm Suzanne Rowe Palacino, and totally delighted to be here with Rebecca Wing, instructor with Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare. Good morning, Rebecca.
Good morning. Welcome to everybody, and good to be here with you all.
Yeah, it's so nice to have you back. It seems like it's been a little bit since you've been with us. So
in a while, yeah.
I don't know why. It just seems like the last time we spoke, there was potential for snow. But then, that can go into April sometimes.
I guess it can.
But it's so nice to have you here this morning, Rebecca.
Well, it's my pleasure. And I'm going to be talking a little bit from a book that I've been sort of diving into this last month. And I'm going to send the name of it to everybody so you can, if you want to read it, you can. Awake Where You Are is the name of the book by Martin Aylward. And we're going to be talking about the inner critic today a little bit, and where and who and what and why the inner critic is there within ourselves. And so the question this morning is, what is it that your inner critic says when you feel like you're falling short? So those phrases or those repeating patterns of thought that kick up whether in meditation when you feel you're falling short, or whether you fall short somehow during the day. Yeah, that was dumb. That's a good one. These statements come from almost nowhere in a way, it feels like, when it comes to the inner critic. And so we recognize that we all have this language that is so interior and so private in a certain way, but it's helpful to recognize that we all have the inner critic. It comes up in different ways, but that it is part of who we are. It's part of our brain and how it functions.
Yeah, for sure. And yes, just a reminder to folks as you've joined this morning, just to open up your Zoom chat and click the blue drop-down menu that says hosts and panelists. You can click it to everyone. So during this question, folks can see your comments as they come in. Yeah,
I like the answers. There's a lot of coulds coming up. How could I? Should have. I could have. How could I have? Why shouldn't I? I should have been able. Could and should are big words for inner critics. That's very common for those two words to come up quite a bit. How could you possibly have done that? Yeah.
Or that, personally, what comes to me is, here we go again. I've felt this before. Why does the same thing keep coming up?
In this aspect of, ultimately the human brain has this way of trying to use the critic as a motivator. It's kind of ironic. It's not a very effective motivator. In other words, I'm going to feel guilty about what I've done, or shame myself, or blame myself, so that I'll make sure I don't do it again. And of course, the reality is that aggression, that self-aggression, actually impedes progress towards acceptance and acknowledging what's arising without judgment. And so in meditation, one of the things that we work with is cultivating this open, spacious allowing of whatever is arising in the moment, in our mind, in our body, in our surroundings, so that we're really getting more and more skilled over time to get stronger and stronger with, there's that, and there's that. And now I'm going to return back to my breath. Oh, there's that again. Old friend, I see you. And this relationship with that inner critic becomes sort of this quality of cultivating loving kindness and acceptance towards the reality that we've got this pattern of thinking that is now more familiar, and we don't have to reinforce it by adding more information or more rumination or more blame or shame to the arising. So it's like all things in meditation. When you notice something arise, you acknowledge it's there, and then you let it go and come back to your anchor, your point of focus. oftentimes with the inner critic, it has more to say. It's much more elaborate sort of rehearsal sometimes. And so in meditation, it's the same process. Oh, there I'm criticizing myself or someone else. And so in this meditation this morning, I want you to think about that quality of resting within yourself, within your breath and body, and really working with recognizing how sometimes the thoughts that arise are very sticky, and we feel like we have to follow them because for some reason they need to set us straight. And so how much can I just reassure myself? Yeah, okay, there's that. Let go and come back again with kindness towards the experience. So
Yeah,
why?
and in doing that, Rebecca,
Yeah.
how does it stop it from how does it stop it from continuing? You
Well,
know,
and that's the amazing thing about the neuroscience is very clear about this, that, what you pay attention to strengthens. So if I learn to redirect my attention again and again and again away from these harmful thought patterns, then I'm strengthening the ability in my own brain to really cultivate that ability to redirect the attention, redirect the attention, redirect the attention, so that I'm literally engaged in the process of my own mind without feeling like I'm a slave of it, or that I have to follow it simply because it's arising, even though I didn't even intend to think this thing. So it is repetition, focused attention and repetition. That's what creates new neural pathways in the brain. Focused attention, repetition. So the more we do these practices, the more likely we are to get stronger and better at doing them over time. Yeah.
really
So
good.
shall we sit?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Let's do it. So as always, when meditating, find that posture that can really allow you to be upright and centered in your chair, uncrossing the legs, make sure the feet are flat on the floor. Find a place for the hands to rest that is encouraging the shoulders to rest on the frame of the body. Engage the sense of a softly rising spine. And one way to align is to imagine that your ears are floating back over the shoulders so that the ears are in line with the rest of the spine. And then a slight dip of the chin to make sure the head isn't looking upward, and allowing the back of the neck to be soft and long. And experimenting with allowing the tongue to float in the mouth. This allows the jaw to release. Now we drop into the body, specifically the torso. We bring gentle awareness to all sensations that arise in this moment in the body. So I can explore sensations in the chest, belly, upper back, lower back. And I'm experiencing them as sensations, pure, arising awareness of warmth, tingling, circulation, flow, tiredness, tightness, a sense of stillness or a quickening. And I'm resting the inner critic. Instead of evaluating the sensations, I'm bringing bare attention to all that is arising in my body in this moment. And then there is a breath there. It's been there all along. And so I rest my mind in the rise and fall of my breathing with gentle, attentive awareness. When we notice a thought, it's cause for celebration. Suddenly, I'm aware and conscious of the drift. And so I usher my mind back into taking refuge in my body and breath. Thoughts arising is not a failure. When we are aware of the arising thought, We are developing mindful awareness. And then we come back to the preciousness of this body and breath once more. Now drop the form of the practice and open into a releasing quality of resting, not doing anything, maintaining the posture, but simply now just resting. As we end the meditation, take your time, draw that deeper breath back into the body, perhaps a nice stretch as we end the practice.
Thank you so much, Rebecca.
My pleasure. I wanted to say, if you can think this week about the inner critic, there are three kinds. One is self-judging self. That's an easy one, right? We tend to be commenting on how we feel we are or are not doing. But the second form of inner critic is actually self-judging others. So I may not say it out loud, but I might be internally criticizing or even externally criticizing a coworker, a family member, someone I see in the grocery store. That's self-judging other. And then the third one is other judging self, which is very interesting because it's imagined judging, that I'm imagining that other people are judging me. And I'm kind of thinking, making up what I think they think about me. And that's a very, very specific form of inner critic where I'm feeling less than, not in terms of my own measurement, but in measurement to what I think other people are thinking about me. And so when you start to recognize this, sometimes we have a propensity to one or the other, self-judging self, self-judging others, or others judging self. Sometimes it depends on our life stage or what we're doing or where we are in our life. And so the more we become kind of familiar with the subtleties of the way the inner critic arises, the more likely we will be to be able to see it more quickly and more clearly. There's self-judging other. Oh, there's me imagining others judging me. And this quality of familiarization in meditation is half the skill. It's a big part of the skill, because it allows us, if we're lost in the critical mind, we don't know that we have an option of letting it go and redirecting our attention to present moment, gentle, attentive awareness. So think of it in three ways, right? Self-judging self, self-judging others, and imagining others judging self. Yeah. And it's interesting in that book, Awake Where You Are, Martin goes deeper into it. He talks about, what is the loop? What is it that it says? Because frequently it'll say the same thing, slightly different phrasing, but oftentimes these critical voices that we cultivate over time have a script, basically. And the more you get familiar with the script, then the more likely it is you'll say, there it is. There's the critic arising in me. I can see that. And that ability to recognize that I don't want to engage in that form of thinking for very long, because I know it causes me harm. And frankly, also potentially I can cause harm to others if I go too far down that road. So we cultivate loving kindness towards the critic, and in a sense, assure self that it's okay, you're all right. You don't really need to go down this road. Let's just come back into our body and breath for a moment and settle. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you mentioned the loving kindness portion of this, that's a wonderful tool to use too. Thinking of, as we are, maybe, I think this is something a lot of people can relate to. What are other people thinking about us, and thinking, well, maybe they aren't. Maybe they are thinking something differently, like, oh, maybe they like my smile, or, can we turn it around to say, oh, we notice it, and maybe it's something else. Maybe it's something positive where we're not focusing on the negative.
Or just recognizing that ultimately I can't know. I can't, unless someone tells me directly what it is they're thinking about me. I have no idea. And that's always the amazing part about wisdom. Wisdom has present moment awareness of attending to what exactly is happening in the moment versus imagining what we think might be happening in the moment. And that takes a lot of discipline, because we spend a lot of time imagining or conjuring what we think might be going on around us, when really all we have is the present moment experience of what's happening in this moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also realizing, as we're thinking, others are probably thinking, their thoughts are probably completely different places. But you're right. It's
the way of knowing.
Yeah. Can we release and just say, you know what? Let's just do our grocery shopping and not worry about it.
Not worry that somebody behind me is looking at the fact that I'm wearing my sweatpants and my hair is all messed up. I'll tell a little story around the inner critic from my own experience. So in my undergraduate college work, I was a pianist, a music major. And so it took me a good 3/4 of my freshman year to stop hearing the inner critic of others judging self. Every time I would do a performance or accompany someone else for their piece of music, I would have this profound sense that people were looking at me with binoculars and assessing every note that I played. And it was crippling. And of course, I was, 19 years old. I didn't have a perspective. And it took me a good portion of that year to recognize that this is not helping me. And not only that, but it's affecting my playing because I'm so sort of trying to perceive what everybody's thinking about me. I'm not actually in the music itself. And my sophomore year was a big awakening in that, where I had to let go of all of that, completely let go of any assumption of what I thought anybody was thinking of me. And then, of course, the other piece was dropping the inner critic of self-judging self. Of course, when you're 19 and 20, there's a lot of that comes up, that I'm not doing enough, or I should be doing more. Oh my God, I can't believe I missed that note, And so through meditation and that quality of compassion towards our own self, we can drop that inner critic as soon as it arises and not stay with it for very long.
Yeah. Yeah. How self-awareness really does help us through these journeys. And that comes in so many different ways. And it doesn't always happen at 19. It can happen at 45, 55, 60,
Yes.
It happens throughout our lives. So, yeah. But, thank you so much for being here with us this morning, Rebecca.
My pleasure. So good to be with you all and have a Tuesday that feels full and bright and light within you, and really work with that quality of resting in the present moment throughout your day.
Yes. Very, very good way to end our session this morning. So thank you to everyone for joining. And we'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:30. So thanks for joining. We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.